to another episode of No Expectations Video Store. Today's episode we are reviewing the 1984 film Lonely Guy, starring Steve Martin and Charles Grodin, and I believe this is directed by Arthur Hiller. So for my guest synopsis today, I believe Steve Martin's character has lost his wife due to some hysterical, terrible accident a few years back. He's a total grump, but lost all his friends because he's not the fun-loving self that he used to be. But until one day he actually meets a beautiful woman, maybe in the park or something. He starts going out with her, and then she probably starts changing his attitude, and he probably starts believing in himself again. So let's go ahead and just dive into the movie. Let's watch it, and I'll be right back to review it. Go on. Go watch the movie.
Hi. Are you a lonely guy? I'm a lonely guy. And you know that's okay. There's a place in the world for lonely guys just like us. And you don't have to be lonely forever. There are lots of options. eHarmony, Bumble, Tinder, The Street Corner, whatever you like. Or we can watch 1984's The Lonely Guy. Alright, so I'm going to read my guest summary for The Lonely Guy, and here's what I think it's about. The Lonely Guy summary. Steve Martin, Carl Lyle Perryson, is an aspiring magician who works at a pet store and has zero luck with the ladies. All while trying to meet Mrs. Right, he stumbles upon Adele, a sweet real estate agent rollerblading in his neighborhood, who he pulls out all the stops for. Along the way, they have mishap-filled dates that ultimately lead him on a quest for potential true love. Will he prevail? Only her dog, bodybuilder ex-boyfriend, and awkward best friend may stand in his way. Did we mention Carl has crushing anxiety? Okay, so obviously, as always, I took some creative liberties there, but let's see what the movie is really about.
Alright, I'm back, and I could say my synopsis wasn't terribly wrong. I did get right that he does meet a woman, but the actual synopsis is about a man named Larry Hubbard, who's played by Steve Martin. He's a writer who writes greeting cards for a living. He becomes a lonely guy after his girlfriend Danielle ends their relationship. He then meets a fellow loner named Warren, who's played by Charles Grodin, who teaches him how to be a lonely guy. So Larry spends his time chasing this woman that he met named Iris, who's played by Judith Ivey. So she's actually dated and married previous lonely guys, but that relationship doesn't go so hot with her and Larry. So Larry decides to channel his feelings into writing a book, which becomes a best-selling guide to the lonely life for a lonely guy. So suddenly he's famous, but all he really wants to do is to be with Iris.
Okay, so I finished watching 1984's The Lonely Guy. It was directed by Arthur Hiller. It was based on a book by Bruce J. Friedman, then adapted by Neil Simon, and then the screenplay was by Ed Weinberger and Stan Daniels. Pretty good. Anyway, so the film is all about a greeting card writer who ends up breaking up with his unfaithful girlfriend, and he ends up being a lonely guy in the city of New York. And I really enjoyed this one.
What I enjoyed about this film, Steve Martin is absolutely hilarious in this film. The film had very The Jerk kind of vibes, which is another fantastic film with him in it. I love his interactions with everyone. Even his whole breakup was particularly funny. He walks in on his girlfriend in bed with another man and simply doesn't know how to react and just climbs in bed with them.
He walks in on his girlfriend cheating on him with another guy, and he treats it like no big deal. He's just like, hey, how's it going? Introduces himself to the guy, and I thought that was hilarious. That kind of stuff I love to see. That's when Steve Martin's truly in his element, just riffing.
His new best friend Warren, who's played by Charles Grodin, you may know him from the film Beethoven, the fun-loving dad who always yells at a dog. Like, he portrays a depressed, lonely guy so perfectly. Every scene he was in was perfect.
The other lonely guy, his buddy, absolutely fantastic. I thought he was perfectly cast and was a great, awkward best friend.
From their talks about homeless people with great hair and their parties he throws with celebrity cutouts, nothing he did or say wasn't funny. He even gives Larry the idea of getting a dog to, like, not feel so lonely. So the funny thing about that is, like, how this particular pet store has a 24-hour return policy. So let's just say Larry went through a lot of dogs. There's so many scenes I enjoyed, from like breaking the fourth wall, him riding backwards, the whole lonely guy famous bridge where all the lonely guys go to jump off.
The thing I really liked in the movie, and I'm 100% positive James will touch on it too, is the bridge scene, the suicide bridge scene where it's like no big deal and these guys are just offing themselves jumping off this bridge. That was funny. It's good to laugh at the darkness in life sometimes.
The restaurant scene where he has a spotlight on him showing him how lonely he is, and the strange sneezing orgasm. Yeah, trust me, that scene was odd, but it made me laugh.
The Lonely Guy had a lot of elements that I feel like are relevant to movies nowadays. So in a lot of ways I think it was really ahead of its time. Just kind of the breakdown of deep diving into the mechanics of relationships and kind of poking fun at the structure of relationships. It took some risks, and I like that a lot, and I think it was way ahead of its time in a lot of ways. The absurdity of this film and the seemingly improvised scenes really were my favorite part. Steve Martin was really in his element. He really shined, and it seemed like he was having a lot of fun making this movie. I actually watched it twice, believe it or not. I was a little drowsy the first time watching it, so I want to go back and like fully take it in. So I rewatched the entire thing a second time, and I absolutely loved it.
There wasn't much that I didn't like from this movie. I will say I wasn't too fond of his love interest, Iris. I felt as if she was like miscast. I didn't find her character that amusing, unfortunately.
So the love interest in this film, not very strong, kind of flimsy. Didn't like her.
Once the romance was introduced, the comedy kind of died down. I would approach the film probably a little bit differently. That's not to say I didn't like this film, because I definitely did. But I only enjoyed it when Warren and Larry were on the screen. So I would have probably had like a buddy film instead. Maybe Warren and Larry both get out of their rut and become like tycoon bachelors. It would be about their journey and their fall of their multi-million-dollar company. I don't know, something like that. What do you think, Ben? How'd you feel about Lonely Guy? Let me know. Tell me. Did you like it?
This one is a solid 3.5 out of 5 for me. Not Steve Martin's best, not the caliber of The Jerk or even Bringing Down the House, but fun. Definitely one of his better ones. If you like The Three Amigos, if you like The Man with Two Brains, I think you'll enjoy The Lonely Guy. So, thanks for watching, guys. Be kind, rewind, subscribe. And if you like this, help us out on Patreon so we can make more content for you. Thanks for watching.
With that said, I'll have to give this movie a solid 3.5 out of 5 stars. Steve Martin and Charles Grodin are like absolutely comedy gold in this movie. I wish they had worked together more. The Lonely Guy may not be one of the greatest comedies, but it's one I do see myself coming back to. What are your thoughts? Have you guys seen it? Do you plan on watching it? As always, leave a comment down below and let us know. And remember to support us on our Patreon and be kind, rewind, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys.
Ask the Video Clerk. If you like this movie, here are some other titles you can check out. The Man Who Loved Women, Burt Reynolds, right in the same era. Great film, totally underrated. More recent one with Amy Poehler and Paul Rudd. They Came Together. Hilarious. Also another great Steve Martin classic, L.A. Story. Those are ones I highly, highly recommend if you enjoyed this title.
It's 3:45. We gotta take a nap or something.
I don't like to take naps. I don't like to wake up more than once a day, because when I first wake up, I get that shock of who I am and everything. I really don't like to do that more than once a day.